So how does this story even begin?
That's a great question. I think it would have to start in my mom's basement. So I started tattooing in my mom's basement. Unfortunately, I don't really like telling this part, but that's the reality. I started in my mom's basement, I ordered stuff offline, and I was just really messing up my friends. You know, and I would charge like a little bit of money, you know, sometimes like, 10, maybe even $50. That was like a good day. And I was young, I was probably, 16 at the time.
Yeah.
It was always like a side hobby, just kind of an interest. I wasn't as interested in school, but kind of did it on off for a couple years.
Did you have tattoos back then?
Yeah, I had a couple like I did myself, like hand poke and different things like that. My life at the time was mostly getting sent away to places. Rehab, psych wards, jails. This was just part of my childhood. So with that, you kind of get detached, you're kind of to yourself, you're always starting over all the time, so it might feel like there's no point in making friends, or you get really good at making friends and like talking to people, but everything's like temporary.
Yeah.
Really the only constant in my life was art. The other thing I did was sports. I didn't think that could really like turn into a career.
Sure.
Or something that I could live off of. But as far as I was concerned, like these were my titles. Criminal, drug addict, whatever, not great titles. So through this, I kept getting kicked out of school because I'd be away or they didn't want me. They'd say, get out, get out, get out. Somehow my parents worked out a deal for the original school to take me back. I don't even think to school. They just said like you can graduate on graduation day if you want, Yeah.
You got a Swiss roll.
So due to that, I finally did graduate with the Swiss roll. And I was fortunate enough to get my high school diploma, which the obvious next step would be like community college.
Yeah.
I'm in community college. Really the only class I'm showing up for is like art, but I have no purpose. I do not want to be there at all. Luckily for me, I was into guys. Luckily for me, I was in a relationship at this time with this girl that was just an angel.
Yeah.
I did not deserve her. She kind of noticed the only thing I was interested in was art. She got tattooed. So she told me to go check out the tattoo shop that she went to.
Yeah.
When I first walked into the shop, I was really amazed. But as soon as I got there, like I knew this was the thing that I wanted to do. It like looked cool, especially 15 years ago, like to be a tattoo artist was like, wow, that's so cool. But then I had to talk to the owner, and what I didn't realize is like she had set up kind of an interview for an apprenticeship. I didn't know that at the time, I just thought I was going there to check it out. So I talked to Trent. He was the owner of the shop. He essentially offered me an apprenticeship. I did not know what that meant. But he explained it a little bit. He said, you come here and you like actually train to become a tattoo artist. Yeah. I made the mistake of saying like, oh, I'm already tattooing out of my basement. He did not like that. That upset him. And he explained that it was gonna be even more work to correct those habits than it would just a fresh start. I mean, I was at the point where like I was willing to do anything. This was like a new identity for me, like a positive one that kind of like would do anything to get. I didn't want to be a criminal, I didn't want to be drug addicts, I didn't want to be like the friend that, parents wouldn't let their kids hang out with. Like, I was like, holy shit, this is like a career. And I really just didn't think I was gonna find anything like that in college. So I got a little lucky. I met him, he offered me the opportunity. Before I even asked the expectations, I just said yes. And for me, it was show up 5 days a week at the time. And there were, maybe 10-hour days, maybe a little bit longer. But I was so happy to be there, like he would have to tell me to leave. We started with these basic things: cleaning, protecting yourself, essentially the rules of the shop. Like these are the first things you have to learn.
Yeah.
I don't know, the first rules that he told me were protect myself, protect the client, keep everything clean. Like these are the first thing. It had nothing to do with like art or tattooing.
Yeah.
He's like, yo, if you're gonna be in here with all this, you know, these open wounds, you know, people working all the time, you have to know how to keep yourself protected.
Yeah.
And then once you're protected, how to protect the client, right? And then always cleaning, always cleaning, always cleaning. I think I was really lucky because I was so desperate that I didn't question a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes I see people come in and they don't want to learn it or they start questioning it, but you know, I kind of had the luxury of not going through that.
Yeah.
So we learned how to clean everything, and I made so many mistakes.
Yeah.
After I had been there a little bit, he started having me clean tubes, you know, and he'd like put all the tubes over here, then they'd go into the sink, you know, you scrub them, and then they would go into the ultrasonic. After the ultrasonic, you take them out. But these are dirty tubes, you know?
Tubes like for the coil machine?
Yeah. I was getting comfortable, I was doing this a lot. I ended up reaching into the ultrasonic with no gloves on. This is very bad, very bad.
Then why is it bad?
Because look, they're dirty here,
Uh-huh.
then all you're doing is hitting them with water and trying to scrub them.
Yeah.
But this is not clean.
For those that wouldn't know, that are like only rotary boys, what would a coiled tube be dirty with?
Blood, ink, disease, everything. I mean, it's pretty much the needle.
Yeah.
So then it would come in here, it would go into the ultrasonic would vibrate and shake off the particles, then you'd let it dry, then you would put it to get sterilized, then it's clean. You'd put it in these like little pouches and then you put it into the autoclave, or as I like to call it, the bat cave. And then it would be clean. So it is still just as dirty in the ultrasonic
As it is.
when it's on the client. Ultrasonic's even worse because that's where everyone's dirty things. So it's not just from one person, it's like from all 10, 20 people that were tattooed that day.
Christ.
Yeah. So my, I thought I was helping, you know, and Trent's over here freaking out, you know. And he's like, stop, 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 wait. I thought he was gonna put me in the shower where you like pull it down and it,
like in
gets
science
everything.
class.
Bro, he thought, cause you know, I'm like biting my nails, there's all these things. So anyway, I have HIV now. No, I'm just kidding. But you know, you make mistakes.
So that's like one of the biggest shop fuck ups you've had.
That was a big one. I'm gonna tell you about another one.
I love this story.
So after I did that, Trent figured he'd give me like easier tasks, you know. So he sent me down the road to get the pizza for the shop.
Yeah.
And it was literally right down the road. So then he sent me out to get the pizza, and the wind was blowing that day, and the wind fucking caught the pizza, and it ended up on the ground, face down on the ground, right?
Okay.
I was so worried, bro, because I'm thinking like, yo, I'm gonna get fired. Like I keep making mistakes, like a lot of mistakes. And that pizza was like $20, bro. Like I could not afford to replace that. You know, I couldn't go back in and just like get a new one. And then I thought like they were gonna make me pay for it. Like I was so broke, it wasn't even funny. I'm in debt to my parents. Like there's no excess money.
Yeah.
So I did the only thing I knew how to do, and I picked it up off the ground and I put it back into the box, you know? And I brought it there as if nothing happened.
Was it just like regular cement, or like how dirty did this pizza get?
It was bad. So I brought the pizza back. It clearly like had dirt and fucking hair and pieces of the sidewalk in it. And the artists were so hungry they just started eating it. And like halfway through they're like, does this taste funny to you? And I'm like, oh my God, bro, they're gonna figure it out. I'm so fucked, I'm gonna get fired. They're like literally pulling pieces of gravel like out of their mouth.
Oh.
And one of the senior artists looked at me and she's like, did you drop this? And I was like, oh my God, like they saw me, they know.
Yeah.
And I obviously lied. I'm like, no, I don't know. You should probably complain with the pizza people.
Wait, you weren't eating the pizza with them?
No, I was so hungry, dude. But these things would like happen all the time. And like, I think I was there, you know, I was there for maybe 6 months. You know, we're just like cleaning. I was getting used to being in the shop. I was seeing how the other artists, you know, would deal with situations. I was getting the routine. You know, I was starting to memorize some of this stuff. Like, okay, she gets her clients in at like 10 o'clock, she sits them down, she offers them a drink. And you're like learning the routine. And that takes like time, you know, to just start to figure out some of that stuff. And I had like a really nice apprenticeship. And I would relax, and like Trent would like let me, you know, watch movies or like hang out, like if I got all my chores done or the stuff I had to do, and like I was like, holy shit, like I'm moving towards being a tattoo artist. Yeah. What ended up happening was I ended up getting too comfortable.
Oh, Trent was an angry Asian man.
Yeah. You know, I got lazy, I got complacent, I started taking things for granted, and eventually it led where the only thing Trent could do was fire me. Yeah. Like he gave me so many chances. I just started up showing late, maybe it was a little disrespectful. I just wasn't doing all the things that I was taught. And at this point, I even made it to like doing the designs. A couple people came in for like some free tattoos. He showed me the whole way. So yeah, he had to fire me, which ended up being the best thing that could possibly happen for my career.
So before you move on from getting fired at the shop, so you were fired as an apprentice, and we've had a bunch of apprentices come into the shop. Yeah. And I think all of them go through that phase of like being super complacent or maybe getting an attitude.
Usually around that 1 year mark.
Yeah.
You're like, when is this gonna make sense? When am I gonna make money?
Yeah.
When is this gonna happen?
If you were to talk to like past John, like how would you try to deal with that feeling?
I don't know, you'd think like you'd say like, hey, don't take this for granted, like do this, do that. I think I just had to learn the hard way. For me, I don't think everyone does, but bro, I was kind of an idiot kid back then that wouldn't take anyone else's ideas, you know, and I needed to literally fall on my face. You know, and I think I got exactly what I needed because I had this really cush, nice apprenticeship where Trent was amazing, everyone that worked there was amazing, but it was like too easy. So then I moved to Florida, you know, for just whatever reason, I'm not gonna talk about it, but got hooked up with this old biker, bro, at the shop. He'd been tattooing, you know, for 40 years. It was insane. It was like an old school shop. I told him my situation. I was like, you know, I kind of already did an apprenticeship. Could I just work here as an artist, please, please, please? He pretty much said, no. The only way I'll take you is if you start your apprenticeship over completely.
No way.
Yeah, which was kind of a hard pill to swallow, you know, because I already did a year. So I said, okay. I mean, I'm desperate again. Like, whatever it takes, I got to get into this industry. Yeah. So I signed up for another, you know, apprenticeship that would probably take years. And this one was completely different. So I had no car, no money. Dude wanted me to work 6 days a week. From, I think we worked 10 o'clock to 1 in the morning. So I'd have to wake up at 5:30. I'd have to get on multiple buses because I didn't have a car. You know, it took about 2.5 hours. I'd finally get to the shop by 10 o'clock.
Crawling.
And then I would start. From 10 o'clock to 1 a.m. was the time I had to convince one of my friends to pick me up from work. Otherwise, I had to get back on the bus, get on another bus, get on another bus, and then finally get home. It's like 3 in the morning, you know?
Yeah.
Just to wake up again at 5:30.
How far away is work from where you're living now at the time?
So I was in North Miami Beach, and it was on Hollywood Boulevard.
Oh, dude, that's brutal.
So I had to like leave Miami to go to Hollywood. But it was honestly good to be back. He was crazy regimented and strict and honestly pretty mean. Yeah. It was a real old school apprenticeship. Like we were making jewelry in the back, you know, making needles. Even we weren't gonna use them because he wasn't gonna use needles that I made, but he wanted me to learn these things, how to put together a coil. Yeah. He would even bring me in like old barber chair and dentist chairs, and he would teach me, you know, how to re-chrome them, how to reupholster, how to sand everything, repaint. Yeah. Like you were building everything you were going to use. So I was building my own chair, I was building my own machine, my own desk, my own needles.
That's cool.
He even had me like doing like the jewelry and like, I forget, we were like hooking like electrodes up to it to like change the color, and there was all this crazy stuff going on. But every piece of your station, like you were building. So you like really cared about it. So when clients weren't there and I was like working on other things and I wasn't working on shop things, I got to work on like my chair that took the longest, or my machine, you know, and I would get these parts and I was making armature bars and replacing, you know, things on the coil with like a quarter or like these little personal touches. And it was pretty cool. I mean, this dude was still smoking cigarettes in the shop while he was tattooing. I'm trying to think of like my routine though, but it was kind of like wake up, I would sweep, mop. He would have me like clean all the cases, you know, with like a Q-tip, and like you really cared about everything and you learned everything in the shop, you know? And like once in a while he would give you a compliment though, but it would kind of be like a backhanded compliment.
Like, give me an example.
Like you clean that pretty good for a retarded kid. Like something like that.
Oh, that's where you get that
from. And then, you know, if he had a good day, sometimes he would like sit with us at the end and tell us like old stories about biking, but it was a lot. He told you like where tattooing came from and like the struggles that people would have to overcome, you know, when it was illegal, or like the doctor's calls, the house visits.
Yeah.
You know, he was teaching you that stuff, but it was very difficult, you know? And I guess if there's like anything to learn, it's like I was willing to do whatever it took to get into the industry.
Yeah.
And even though in the first one and the second one I had no help, you know, first one I did have some parent help.
Yeah.
Second one, nothing, bro. You know, I was like living in a halfway house, waking up at this time, getting on the buses, going to the shop, and like just doing whatever I had to do to get it done.
Yeah.
There wasn't much time for friends, social life, girlfriends, anything like that, because my one day off on Sunday, he wanted me to go to his house at 6 in the morning to do a yard sale and help him sell stuff. And
Every Sunday?
Yeah, and he would pay me to do that. So that's like how I was kind of like making enough money for like the bus.
Yeah.
So that's where it started, and that's how I got into the industry and performed tattoos here. And then eventually, you know, I became a tattoo artist. You know, I got the approval, I got my license. You know, I started with very small designs like flash, things that were like silhouettes. That way, you know, I could practice my line work, but if it sucked, I was gonna cover it all up with black at the end, and did these very, you know, simple tattoos.
Yeah.
You know, I left the shop that I apprenticed at to go to another shop in Miami. It wasn't a great shop, but it was the first shop that I was hired as a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
You know, so this was probably a 2.5 year, maybe even longer, time frame we're talking about of just apprenticing to finally get my foot in the door as a shitty tattoo artist in a not good shop.
Yeah.
You know, but it taught me to be on time. It taught me to show up, work long hours, how to stay late if I needed to. You know, you could work all day and a walk-in shows up 10 minutes before it closes and you take it because the money's not promised tomorrow. Yeah. You know, how to treat every tattoo with your best. You know, how to really like push yourself to the limits to see what you're capable of doing, like work-wise. Even though I was miserable during my last apprenticeship, it instilled these qualities of character that are everywhere in my life today, and I truly believe granted me the success that I have. So that is the story of me getting into the industry.
That is a crazy story. So, I mean, for anybody that's now coming into the industry, I would assume people that are like asking that question are probably young tattooers. The game is way different today than it was when you were coming up.
I know what you're probably asking. Where are you in the story? Yeah, it wasn't until way later that I met you.
That's right.
That's you.
Well, I assumed.
So I would say, like, for new people in the industry, apprenticeship is a move. You know, I think we are on the precipice of seeing some new ways develop, meaning like maybe some schools, there are online seminars, but I still think you need those basics. Yeah. I think you need to be in a shop, learn how a shop works. What I say is go to every shop, find the owner, Find out if the owner is there often, like enough where they could give you full-time attention. Find out the qualities the owner has. Find out the qualities you want to have. And then make sure the person teaching you has that, because you can't teach someone to have it if you don't have it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like you find that person that has everything you want in your career, and then you ask them to show you how to get it.
What's that?
That's you, Jelly Belly. Till next time. Finally, we're giving away the print. You can't see it, but everyone in the room is dancing. They're so excited for you. We're giving the number 17 out of 50 print that will be signed by me to one special winner. Let's get into it. So what are we doing? We doing 3? Best of 3, or are we doing 1 and done? 2 losers, 1 winner. That's my favorite. All right, so let's get to our 2 losers first. First loser. Fuck. Congrats. The losers are my favorite. Remove or close? Close. Ooh, Fritz is being nice today for our second loser. Please be Fritz, please be Fritz. Zom. Now for everyone's favorite, the winner. The winner of the number 17 print. Let's spin the wheel. Who's it gonna be? I love giving away free stuff. The winner of the print is... Not Fritz. Rosh 3708. Congrats on your print. We'll be reaching out. We'll send this to you. Awesome, guys. Definitely stay tuned for more giveaways. We're going to be getting bigger and better things to give away as the channel grows. There is a rumor that we might be giving away a machine soon coming up. I don't know. It's up to Fritz. But we'll keep you guys updated. Thank you so much for the love on the channel.